Well, we always enjoy it when we get a visit from our friends at Village Books, and today both of them are here. Chuck and Dee Robinson from Village Books. You guys are always so full of information on events and the community and books and authors. What do you want to talk to us about today?
Well, we thought we'd talk about book groups today. A lot of times we get asked by people, how do you start a book group, or how do you get into a book group? And it's really easier to start one than it is to get into one. We have found, yes. People's book groups are pretty much filled out, and they don't like to get them to be too big because then they can't meet in their homes. So starting one is probably a better idea. And I always suggest to people that it's a good idea not to have everybody in the group know everybody. So if you invite a couple of your friends to join and then have them each ask a couple of their friends to join, you end up with a group with a little bit more diversity, and you have some more interesting kinds of conversations that way.
Very interesting. And then how would you recommend going about choosing the content for the book club?
Different groups do things different ways. There are some groups that have one meeting a year devoted to choosing the books for the next year, and they all bring selections, and they kind of vote for them, then decide which of the 12 books or whatever they're going to read over the next year. Some book groups decide month by month. They have consensus, maybe. You know, people suggest things and they all agree, yeah, this is something we want to read. And some groups have a monthly leader, and that person selects the book for that month, and they say, next month, this is what we're going to read. And so you end up reading some things that you wouldn't normally read, which I think is great.
Isn't that the point of a book?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Dee and I have been part of our own personal book group for about 15 years now or something like that, maybe a little longer.
I think a little longer.
And one of the things that everyone in the group says on a regular basis is that what we love about it is we always read books that we wouldn't otherwise have chosen ourselves, because our group chooses books by consensus, and we, a little back and forth, and sometimes there are some people in the group who don't like nonfiction as well, but they'll take the leap and read something, and the discussion is always great that way too. And running the group is pretty important. We've talked to lots of groups whose groups have not done as well, and it's because they didn't have a formal structure. And by formal, I don't mean really formal, but something that says this is the way we do things. And our group, for example, has a real set pattern. We spend the first hour of the book group talking to one another, just chatting, sipping a little wine, right? Some hors d'oeuvres. And someone then makes does a segue. In fact, that's become sort of a joke within the group. How do you get the segue from the conversation to the book? But then we'll spend about an hour discussing the book, have dessert together over which we'll decide the next book and talk about the next time that we can get together. But with any group, we usually suggest that they have some sort of structure to it that keeps them from just being a social. I mean, the social part's very important. It's part of the reason groups stick together. But if you really want it to be a book discussion group, there needs to be a way to get away from the general conversation about kids, about vacations, and all those sorts of things, and get into the meat of the book itself and the discussion.
I'm sure you have tons of other ideas at your store, Village Books in Fairhaven, right?
We're
there are
always
lots of
happy
resources.
To meet with groups.
Yep, we meet with groups. There are resources available from the publishers. They have brochures for certain books that will help the right kind of questions to ask, a little biography sometimes about the author. Some groups do a lot of research and background and that sort of thing, and a lot of those things are available on publishers' websites, and also sometimes bound into books themselves that are intended for reading groups.
Wonderful, making it easy for all of us.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks you so much, Chuck and Dee Robinson from Village Books, and remember, you can always experience more at kvos.com.